Your standards are the invisible force sculpting your destiny. Every thought you allow, every behavior you accept, every habit you reinforce. All of it, consciously or unconsciously, is building the foundation of your future. If you tolerate chaos, you will live in disorder. If you accept mediocrity, you will remain stuck. If you demand greatness, though, if you set your bar higher, your life will eventually reflect that. This isn't just about ambition. It's about survival. It's about living a life of meaning instead of quietly decaying into regret. First, understand this: where you are today is a direct result of the standards you chose yesterday. No one else imposed them on you. No one forced you to live the way you do. You decided, actively or passively, what you would accept. If you don't like your current reality, you have to accept that painful truth. Without taking responsibility, you are powerless to change. But if you dare to say, "I created this," you give yourself the terrifying and beautiful power to recreate yourself. Second, you must define the boundaries of what you will no longer tolerate. If you don't draw those lines clearly, the world will cross them without mercy. What are you accepting in your health, your relationships, your work, your daily habits that you know is far beneath what you are capable of? Write it down. Face it. If you do not face what you are tolerating, you will continue to tolerate it until it drowns you. Third, you must consciously and ruthlessly design your environment. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with individuals who normalize low standards, laziness, or bitterness, you will gradually and quietly adopt their mindset. But if you choose to place yourself among those who are disciplined, driven, and principled, you will be pulled upwards by their example. Isolation breeds stagnation. Strategic association breeds elevation. Fourth, craft a compelling vision of the higher version of yourself. What does that future version of you demand? How does he or she walk, think, work, and love? How does that version of you face hardship? Write that vision down in vivid detail. Your mind needs a clear target. Without it, you will wander aimlessly. With it, you will endure hardships because you know what you are building. And then, fifth, you must act. Standards are not raised in the mind alone. They are raised through disciplined, relentless action. Every single day is a battle to prove to yourself that you are no longer who you were. When your old habits whisper to you, when old patterns try to reclaim you, you must be strong enough to refuse. Action is what separates a dream from a destiny. Raising your standards isn't a single decision. It's a daily commitment. It's a war against the parts of you that crave comfort and decay. It's the courage to say no when your body wants ease and your mind seeks distraction. It's the stubborn will to say, "I will build something higher, something nobler, something better, because I must, because I can, because anything less would be a betrayal of what I know is possible." You do not have to stay where you are. You are not chained to your past mistakes. You are not doomed by your current limitations. But you must rise. No one is coming to lift your standards for you. No one is coming to rescue you from mediocrity. The only one who can decide today, right now, to demand more from your life is you. And once you make that decision, once you raise the standards of your thoughts, your actions, and your associations, you will look back one day and realize that you didn't just change your life, you saved it. Most people drift through life unaware that the standards they set for themselves are not passive rules. They are active forces shaping their future with every passing moment. Every choice you make today, what you accept, what you tolerate, what you expect of yourself, is laying down the blueprint for who you will become tomorrow. The standards you live by are either pulling you toward a future of excellence, meaning, and achievement, or they are quietly shackling you to a future of frustration, disappointment, and regret. Whether you recognize it or not, you are building your destiny one decision at a time. If you set low standards, if you allow yourself to cut corners, to stay silent when you should speak, to avoid responsibility when it gets uncomfortable, you are reinforcing a future where you will be smaller than you were meant to be. Every time you let fear dictate your actions, every time you let laziness choose for you, you are writing a future that shrinks your potential. Your standards today are either a foundation or a prison. The choice is yours, but the consequences are real and they are coming. The problem is that many people don't make this connection consciously. They believe that big changes come from dramatic, one-time events. They think that success will come from one lucky break or that failure will come from one huge mistake. But the reality is much more subtle and much more dangerous. Your future is built in the tiny, invisible moments where you decide whether to honor your standards or betray them. It's not about the big speeches you make to yourself when you're motivated. It's about the little decisions you make when no one is watching. Do you do what you said you would do? Do you demand the best from yourself even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it? Understand this deeply. You are programming yourself every single day. Your mind is recording everything: the excuses you accept, the disciplines you uphold, the compromises you make, and it responds by adjusting your future expectations accordingly. If you live with high standards today, you will expect and demand more from yourself tomorrow. If you accept mediocrity today, your mind will get used to it, and you will unconsciously lower the ceiling of your future. Nothing in life changes permanently until standards are raised. Not goals, not motivation, not ambition. Those things come and go like the weather. But when your standards change, your identity changes. You stop merely wishing for better and start expecting better. And when you expect better, you start creating better. You no longer accept excuses from yourself. You no longer tolerate toxic habits or environments. You look at your actions, your behaviors, your outcomes, and you hold yourself accountable. Because you understand that your future self is being built right now with the bricks you are laying today. It's important to recognize, too, that raising your standards is not about being harsh or perfectionistic. It's about refusing to live beneath your potential. It's about having enough self-respect to say, I will not let myself stay small because it's comfortable. High standards do not make you arrogant. They make you responsible. They remind you that your life matters, that what you do with your time matters, that who you become matters. They pull you out of the swamp of passivity and force you onto the path of meaningful growth. If you want a better future, raise your standards today, not tomorrow, not when it feels easier. Now, decide that you will no longer tolerate certain behaviors from yourself. Decide that you will no longer accept the minimum effort when you know you are capable of the maximum. Decide that you will live in a way that honors the future you are trying to build, and then commit to it fiercely and daily, because your standards are not just shaping your life, they are shaping you. They are sculpting your character. They are writing your destiny. When you understand that your current standards are shaping your future, you stop making decisions based on how you feel and start making decisions based on who you want to become. You realize that every action matters, that every compromise costs you, that every standard you hold protects you. And when you start living like that, intentionally, passionately, uncompromisingly, you don't just create a better future, you create a better you. Taking full responsibility for where you are right now is one of the hardest, yet most liberating things you can ever do. The temptation to point fingers, to blame others, to look for external reasons for your current situation is overwhelming. It feels easier to blame your circumstances, your upbringing, the people around you, or the system. But the truth is, the moment you take full responsibility for your life, for where you are, for who you've become, for the decisions you've made, is the moment you take back your power. You see, as long as you keep shifting the blame, as long as you keep waiting for someone or something to change before you can take action, you are a slave to your circumstances. You are saying, I am not in control of my life. And that is a dangerous mindset. It keeps you in a place of inaction and victimhood, where you feel powerless to change anything because everything is always someone else's fault. But when you accept full responsibility, you reclaim control. You stop being at the mercy of your past, your environment, or your setbacks. You realize that no matter what has happened to you, no matter what challenges you have faced, you still have the power to change the direction of your life. Responsibility isn't about accepting blame. It's about acknowledging that you are the architect of your reality. You are the one who chooses how you respond to every circumstance, how you react to every setback, and what you do with the opportunities you have. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for external factors to shift before you do something. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal conditions. Instead, you start acting. You take ownership of your thoughts, your actions, your habits. You begin to understand that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. And that is where true power lies. It is far too easy to look at the world and say, the reason I'm stuck is because of this person or that situation. But when you take full responsibility, you realize that it's not about pointing out what's wrong with the world. It's about recognizing that you have the power to change your response to the world. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react, and how you react shapes the life you create. Taking responsibility is also about acknowledging your role in your current circumstances. It's about being brutally honest with yourself. If you're not where you want to be, why is that? What decisions did you make that led you here? What habits did you form that are holding you back? What patterns of thinking or behaviors are you continuing to repeat? Owning your part in the situation doesn't mean beating yourself up or wallowing in guilt. It means recognizing your power to change. It means understanding that you can make different decisions moving forward, and those decisions will lead you to a different outcome. When you fully embrace responsibility, you become the master of your destiny. You no longer give away your power by blaming others or your circumstances. You step into your true power, the power to choose. You start realizing that every action you take, every choice you make, is a vote for the person you want to become. When you take full responsibility for where you are right now, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your past. Instead, you see yourself as a victor, someone who can rise above whatever circumstances have tried to hold you down. You are no longer defined by your past mistakes, by your struggles, or by your setbacks. You are defined by what you choose to do from this moment forward. And that is where real freedom comes from, in choosing to rise, in choosing to take action, and in choosing to break free from whatever has held you back. There is freedom in responsibility. It may seem counterintuitive at first, but once you take full ownership of your life, you are no longer bound by excuses or limitations. You are free to create the life you want. You are free to stop making the same old excuses, free to stop waiting for the world to change before you do. The moment you accept responsibility, you embrace your potential. You realize that your future is not defined by what has happened to you, but by what you are willing to do now. So take responsibility, own your life, own your choices, own your power. And when you do, you'll find that you not only have the ability to change your life, but that you are already on the path to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Most people go through life passively, accepting the things they shouldn't, tolerating behavior they know is beneath them, and staying stuck in situations that slowly drain their energy and potential. The reason for this is simple. They haven't taken the time to define what they will no longer tolerate. This is one of the most empowering decisions you can make, to draw a firm line in the sand and say, enough is enough. When you decide what you will no longer accept in your life, you take the first step toward reclaiming your power and living a life of purpose and intention. When you allow things to go on that you know are beneath you, you are slowly diminishing your self-respect and reinforcing a narrative that you are not worth more. You teach the world, and most importantly, you teach yourself that you will accept anything, that you don't have clear boundaries, that your standards are flexible. And when you don't define what you will no longer tolerate, you leave it up to others, or even your own mind, to decide for you. And let me tell you, your mind doesn't always have your best interests at heart. This is why you must take control. You must decide once and for all what you will not tolerate. You must define your boundaries with clarity and conviction. It starts with an honest assessment of your life. Look at the relationships, the environments, the habits, the behaviors that you've allowed to persist. What are you putting up with right now that is holding you back from the life you want? What are you accepting that is keeping you small? This is not about being judgmental of others. It's about valuing yourself enough to say that you deserve better. When you tolerate toxic relationships, when you let disrespectful people remain in your life, you are telling the universe that you are not worthy of love, respect, or growth. The same goes for the environments you expose yourself to. If you're in a job that drains you, a friendship that exhausts you, or a situation that keeps you stagnant, you're telling the world, this is all I deserve. But here's the hard truth, you get what you accept. If you accept mediocrity, you will live it. If you accept chaos, that will become your reality. If you accept disrespect, it will become a constant. It's time to stop tolerating the things that are preventing you from becoming the person you're meant to be. If you want to grow, if you want to achieve greatness, you must make it clear to yourself and to everyone else what you are no longer willing to accept. This is about setting standards that are non-negotiable. You will no longer tolerate self-doubt, procrastination, or fear holding you back from your potential. You will no longer tolerate the negativity that surrounds you, whether it's in the form of toxic relationships, environments, or self-sabotaging behaviors. This requires strength. It requires courage. But it also requires you to respect yourself enough to say, I am not available for anything less than my best life. This decision doesn't have to be made in anger. It doesn't have to be made in frustration. It simply needs to come from a place of deep self-respect and clarity. The moment you draw that line, everything in your life will begin to shift. The things that once seemed acceptable to you will suddenly appear intolerable. The people who once were in your circle may not fit anymore, and that's okay because your life will become more aligned with your higher self, the person who has standards, the person who values their time, energy, and peace. Now, I want to be clear. Defining what you will no longer tolerate is not about cutting people off or being harsh with the world. It's about taking a stand for your own worth. It's about surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, not drain you. It's about choosing to live in environments that nurture your growth, not stifle it. It's about choosing habits and behaviors that support the person you are becoming, not the person you are leaving behind. The decision to no longer tolerate certain things is not about judgment. It's about self-love. It's about honoring your journey, your goals, and your aspirations. When you define your boundaries, when you say no to the things that hold you back, you start to build a life that is more intentional, more focused, and more aligned with who you are meant to be. You begin to surround yourself with people who respect you, who challenge you, and who inspire you to rise higher. You begin to create an environment that fosters your growth and success. And most importantly, you begin to show up for yourself in a way that you never have before, with the confidence that you are worthy of all the best things that life has to offer. So take a moment to ask yourself, what will you no longer tolerate? What behaviors, relationships, or situations are you willing to release so that you can step into the life you were born to live? The power is in your hands. You can start right now by drawing the line and saying, no more, I deserve better. And when you do, you will see your life transform, because the moment you stop tolerating less than you deserve, the universe has no choice but to start bringing you more of what you're truly worthy of. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the foundation of all success, and yet it's the one thing most people struggle with the most. The reason for this is simple. Discipline requires doing things that you don't always feel like doing. It requires you to push through discomfort, to take action when you'd rather stay in bed, to show up even when the motivation is gone. But here's the truth. The things that will transform your life the most are often the things that you don't feel like doing. We live in a world that glorifies comfort. We are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us to follow our passions, to do what feels good, and to avoid anything that doesn't make us happy. But what happens when your passion wanes? What happens when you don't feel like doing the work that will get you closer to your dreams? What happens when the road gets tough and the motivation fades? The answer: you need discipline. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you will feel on fire. Other days you will feel like quitting. Motivation is a feeling, a spark that ignites you to take action, but it is not a consistent force. Discipline, on the other hand, is a muscle that you build through consistent effort. It's about doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's about setting standards for yourself and sticking to them, even when the excitement fades. It's about understanding that your future self will thank you for doing the hard work now, even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline is the ability to show up when the passion isn't there. It's about taking action even when you don't feel like it. It's about committing to the process, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets. This is where real growth happens. The most successful people in the world didn't get there because they were always motivated. They got there because they had the discipline to keep going, even when it felt like they weren't making progress, even when the road was hard, even when they felt like giving up. The reality is, success is built on the things you do when you don't feel like doing them. It's waking up early even when you're tired. It's doing the work even when it feels boring. It's sticking to your goals even when they feel out of reach. It's saying no to distractions, to instant gratification, to things that may feel good in the moment but are not aligned with your long-term vision. Discipline also requires you to make sacrifices. You will have to give up some things in order to achieve your goals. You may have to say no to friends, to comforts, to pleasures that take you off track. This doesn't mean you have to give up your happiness or joy, but it does mean that you must prioritize your future self over short-term desires. Discipline means learning how to delay gratification, to work now for the results that will come later. It's about understanding that what you put in today will determine what you get out tomorrow. Building discipline is about creating routines and sticking to them. It's about being consistent even when the results aren't immediate. The most successful people are not the ones who have the best ideas or the most talent. They are the ones who show up day in and day out, who put in the work even when it's hard. They understand that discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what turns visions into reality. But here's the good news: discipline can be developed. It's not something you're born with. It's a habit that you can form, just like any other habit. It starts with small commitments. Waking up a little earlier, doing a little more work, pushing through when you don't feel like it. Over time, those small commitments compound, and before you know it, you'll be operating on a level of discipline that will propel you toward your goals faster than you ever imagined. You can start by setting clear, achievable goals for yourself. Then, break them down into daily actions that you will commit to, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like doing it. You show up, you do the work, you stay disciplined, and as you build this habit, you will begin to see the results. Slowly but surely, you will start achieving the things you once thought were impossible. But don't expect the journey to be easy. There will be days when you feel like quitting, when you question whether it's worth it, when the path seems too difficult. And that's exactly when you need discipline the most. It's in those moments, when it's the hardest, that your discipline will define you. It's in those moments that your future success will be built. The key to developing the discipline to do the things you don't feel like doing is remembering this: your future self will thank you for the sacrifices you make today. Your future self will thank you for pushing through the discomfort, for choosing long-term success over short-term pleasure, for sticking with the process when it felt impossible. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about doing the things you need to do even when you don't feel like it. So commit to building discipline. Commit to showing up even when it's hard. Commit to doing the things you don't feel like doing, because in those moments, your character and your future are being built. And when you look back, you'll be proud of the person you've become, the person who never gave up, the person who chose discipline over complacency, the person who took control of their destiny and made it happen. In a world where we are constantly surrounded by distractions, mastering the art of saying no has become one of the most important skills you can develop. Distractions come in many forms: social media notifications, meaningless conversations, unimportant tasks, and the lure of instant gratification. These distractions take you away from your goals, from the things that truly matter, and from your personal growth. They steal your time, your energy, and your focus, leaving you feeling drained and unproductive at the end of the day. But here's the harsh reality: if you don't learn to say no to distractions, you'll never reach the level of success you are capable of. The truth is, your time is your most valuable resource. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. And yet, we often squander it on things that don't move us closer to our goals. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are saying no to something that could bring you closer to your dreams. You are choosing to focus on something trivial instead of something meaningful. You are allowing your attention to be hijacked by things that, in the grand scheme of life, don't really matter. Mastering the art of saying no starts with understanding that every decision you make about how you spend your time is a choice. You are constantly faced with the opportunity to say yes or no to things that demand your attention. The problem is, most people say yes to everything. They say yes to distractions because it feels easier than saying no. They say yes to obligations, to invitations, to tasks that don't align with their goals because they don't want to disappoint others or deal with the discomfort of saying no. But what you need to understand is that saying yes to everything is a form of self-sabotage. It is a way of allowing the world to dictate your life rather than you taking control. You are giving away your power by allowing every little distraction to pull you away from what truly matters. Saying no is an act of self-respect. It is a way of protecting your time and energy so that you can focus on the things that will move you forward. It is about setting clear boundaries and saying to the world, "This is where I draw the line. My time is valuable, and I will not let distractions waste it." Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or rude. It's not about being dismissive or uncaring. It's about recognizing that your time is finite and choosing to spend it wisely. It's about being clear on your priorities and making decisions that align with your vision for your life. When you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your future. You are choosing to invest your time in things that matter, things that help you grow, things that move you closer to your goals. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to saying no is dealing with the fear of missing out FOMO mode. We live in a culture that celebrates business and constant activity. We are told that we need to be available all the time, that we need to do more, and be everywhere. But the truth is, this mentality is the very thing that keeps you stuck. It spreads your energy too thin and keeps you from focusing on what really matters. When you learn to say no, you create the space to say yes to the things that truly serve you. You free yourself from the pressure to be everything to everyone and, instead, prioritize the things that will help you grow. It's important to understand that distractions often come disguised as opportunities. Not every opportunity is the right opportunity for you at this moment in time. Not every person or event is worth your time and attention. When you are clear on your goals and vision, you can begin to filter out the noise and focus on what truly matters. This requires a high level of self-awareness and a willingness to make tough decisions. It requires the strength to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable. Start by identifying the biggest distractions in your life. What is taking up your time without adding value to your goals? Is it mindless scrolling through social media? Is it getting caught up in gossip or drama? Is it people who constantly interrupt your focus with demands that don't align with your vision? Once you identify these distractions, you can take action to remove them. Set boundaries. Be clear with people about when you are available and when you are not. Limit your time on social media. Protect your energy by avoiding people or situations that drain you. Another powerful way to master the art of saying no is by learning how to say no to yourself. Often, the biggest distractions are the ones we create for ourselves. It's the urge to procrastinate, to indulge in distractions like TV or video games, or to give in to the temptation of instant gratification. The key to overcoming these self-imposed distractions is to build self-discipline. It's about making a commitment to yourself to stay focused on what matters, even when you don't feel like it. It's about resisting the urge to give in to short-term pleasure and instead focusing on the long-term rewards. In the end, mastering the art of saying no is about taking ownership of your life and your time. It's about recognizing that you are in control of where your energy goes. It's about making conscious choices that align with your goals and your vision. Every time you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your future. You are investing in your growth, your success, and your happiness. So start saying no. Start saying no to distractions that don't serve you. Start saying no to the things that take you away from your dreams. And when you do, you will begin to see the transformation in your life. You will become more focused, more productive, and more aligned with the person you are meant to be. Growth is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. If growth were easy, everyone would be successful, everyone would be living their best life, and everyone would be operating at their highest potential. But here's the truth: growth comes from discomfort. It's a necessary part of the process. It's the tension between where you are now and where you want to be. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you must be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. You must embrace the discomfort that comes with growth, because that's where the magic happens. The reason most people avoid discomfort is that it's inherently uncomfortable. Right? It's easy to stay where things feel familiar and safe. It's comfortable to do the things you've always done because you know what to expect. But if you continue to stay in that safe space, you'll never experience the breakthrough you're craving. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when you're willing to face the unknown, when you push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Growth happens when you stop avoiding discomfort and start using it to your advantage. Think about the times in your life when you've grown the most, Was it during the easy moments? Was it when everything was going according to plan and you were cruising along without any challenges? Probably not. The moments that shaped you the most were likely the ones where you were tested, when you faced a challenge that seemed too big, too difficult, or too overwhelming. These were the moments where you had no choice but to push through the discomfort, to rise above the fear, and to keep going even when you weren't sure if you could. And in those moments, you grew. But here's the thing: the discomfort of growth isn't always obvious. It doesn't always look like a huge mountain to climb or a giant obstacle in your path. Sometimes the discomfort is subtle. It's that voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that you'll fail. It's the fear of stepping into the unknown, of taking risks, of doing something different. And here's the problem: most people listen to that voice. They let that fear hold them back. They stop before they even try because they don't want to feel uncomfortable. But what you need to realize is that that discomfort is a sign that you're growing. If you don't feel challenged, if you don't feel nervous or scared, then you're likely not pushing yourself hard enough. You're staying in a place where growth is impossible. Discomfort is the signal that you're on the right path. It's telling you that you are stretching beyond your current capabilities, that you are becoming more than you were yesterday. And if you can learn to embrace that discomfort, to move through it rather than avoid it, you will be unstoppable. Growth requires you to break old habits, to change your mindset, and to do things you've never done before. It requires you to become someone new. This transformation isn't easy, and it's not supposed to be. There will be moments when you feel frustrated, exhausted, and even defeated. You will question whether it's worth it. You will wonder if you're capable. But remember, the discomfort you're feeling is part of the process. It's a sign that you are evolving into something greater. One of the hardest things about growth is that it doesn't always yield immediate results. You won't always see the fruits of your labor right away. The changes you're making inside may take time to manifest in your external life. But even when you don't see results, even when the discomfort feels overwhelming, you need to trust the process. You need to trust that the work you're putting in, the discomfort you're enduring, is shaping you into the person you need to become in order to reach your goals. The greatest people in history were not born with a special talent or an easy path to success. They became great because they embraced discomfort. They pushed through the challenges. They took risks. They kept going even when it felt impossible. And this is what you need to do too. You need to embrace the discomfort of growth, because it is the only thing that will move you forward.